Hi, Neil O'Brien here again, Start Your Own Business, and we're on to week 3, and it's selling price, another key part of the whole process of putting our business plan together and estimating our cash flow forecast for the first 12 months. So like I say, take your business for an idea for a test drive. Here's the main steps. Okay, we've already looked at the clarity, getting clarity around your product or service. We've looked at market research, looking at your competitors, your potential customers, and so on. Marketing plan, how are you going to let people know about your product? Selling price, we're going to look at today. And when we finalize our selling price, that'll feed right into our sales forecast, which then is the key part of our cash flow forecast, our monthly cash flow forecast. 6 key steps. Now, I have a couple of examples here, one for a product business and one for a service business. So this is for a product business, Cleanest Candles, and you can see that there's 4 main blocks or elements in Cleana estimating our selling price. She needs to know what our material costs are, our labor costs, our overhead, which are all our other costs like diesel and marketing and everything else, and then add on a profit, and we add those up, it'll give the total selling price. Already we know that Cleana's materials and packaging costs €4. The next thing to look at is the labor. She makes personalized candles. There's bespoke. She can personalize them for everybody. A lot of time goes into them, an hour and a half per candle. What rate does Cleana use? She's going to use a charger rate of €15 per hour. 1.5 hours by 15 gives, rounding up, gives a figure of €23. The next thing we need to look at is overhead, phones, diesel, accountant, all those other costs excluding materials and direct labor. Now, we've estimated that the cost that Cleana needs to include is €5 for overhead in each candle. The next thing we're going to look at is profit. We're going to use a profit rate of 20% of those costs. So 20% of the 4, 23, and 6, we've come up with a figure of €6. Okay. Now, so Cleana's total costs are materials of €4, the labor of 23, overhead is 5, and profit is 6. Adding those up gives her a price of €38 for selling price. If you have a product business, you may need to use something similar to come up with your selling price. There are other ways of doing it, but this is one of the most common methods I use using a spreadsheet. Now we're going to look at a service business. If you're a market, just in the example here, we have a web designer. If you're doing marketing, landscape gardener, a lot of services, 80% of businesses are services. In this example, Mary's a web designer. She's calculated a charge rate of €50 per hour. She needs to estimate the time. She's been asked to quote for a restaurant. She's estimated 36 hours for the job. So €50 by 36 gives a price of 1,800. Now, how did Mary come up with a rate of €50 per hour? I'm going to show you her calculation. So she's worked out her annual figures. So in a 12-month period, she wants to pay herself a salary of 30,000. Her overheads, diesel, phones, marketing, accountant, all those other costs, she's estimated to be 8,000. Now, profit, she wants a profit. She knows she'll have a tax bill as well. So she's putting in 12,000 for those. So 38 and 12 gives her a total cost or a sales target of 50,000 per year. Now, Mary needs to work back to an hourly rate. How does she do that? She works out, she needs to know her billable hours per week, even though she's putting in 24. So even though she works 40, she'll have things like admin and travel and sales meetings and so on. She's estimating 24 billable hours per week. Of the 52 weeks in the year, she's adjusting for things like bank holidays. Obviously, she wants to take a holiday for herself in summertime, maybe Christmas. She's using a figure of 45. She expects she'll be working 45 weeks in the year. If you want to double check this figure, get a calculator, put in 50,000 and put in 50,000 and divide by 24 and divide by 45, and you should get a rate of 46. I'm rounding up to 50. Okay. Now, something else that's really good for a service business to do or a product business is to do competitor analysis. Go out and look at competitors. In Mary's case, she's charging a rate of 50. The 3 competitors she looked at are all higher than her. Now, she also ranked them on different characteristics like service and experience. She's coming out the highest. So even though her rate is the lowest, she's got the highest score. So on this basis, Mary did actually increase her charge out rate. Now, the third element you can look at is value to the customer. Mary is a web designer. She's built websites for businesses like kitchen companies and furniture companies that's helped increase their sales. If you can quantify the value you bring to a customer, you can factor that into your selling price. Now, one other thing you might want to consider when you have your price is how do you introduce selling price to your potential clients? Now, this is a really good model I've used over the years where you come up with three price points. So let's take Mary as an example. If she was going to quote, she may come up with 3 prices. Now, each one is a slightly higher level of service. Bronze is 650. Silver is bronze plus some extra reports and webinars, 950. And gold is silver plus some extras, 1250. The great thing about this is people will often go for the middle option. So in this case, if you only give one price, it's probably going to be 650. If you give 3 prices, some people will go for the middle one, and you can get an extra 300 euros in sales. So just to recap, if you have a product business, you probably need to go through something like the example of Cleanest Candles and go through those steps and work out your pricing. If you have a service business like Mary, work out your total cost or sales target and work it back to an hourly rate. Okay, thanks very much for listening.